All right, here we go, baby. It's Friday. It's turnaround Friday. That's what it is. Let's go. 3, 2, 1. Yo, what's going on, Arkansas Razorback fans? Some of you that are SEC fans. I'm expecting at least 1 or 2 Mississippi State fans to find this video, this live stream. Welcome. By the way, I keep getting asked about the ball. That is a Bobby Petrino signed football. Arky 56. Shout out to him. He got that signed by Coach Petrino back in 09, 2010, somewhere in there. So shout out to Pops. I got some more stuff back there, and you guys used to ask me a lot about. I got the chrome helmet that was given by a fan. Shout out to Arizona Tim. We got the bottle of you can't see it. It's off the camera a little bit. The cookie dough ball, the dough ball. Yeah. Dough ball. Shout out to Don't Read the Podcast or Don't Read the Comments podcast. All right, baby. Yeah. I'm in a good mood. We got basketball. It's back. Arkansas is playing tonight in an exhibition game. Actually, here shortly. I've got looks like 2 or 3 people in our Discord are actually at the game. I think we're gonna get ESPNto tonight on Twitter. Fingers crossed. Even though the feed's probably gonna be pretty bad, so I don't know if it's worth watching or not. But shout out to Pinto for making that at least try to work. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. If you're new here, please feel free to hit the subscribe button. We're going to break down Arkansas and Mississippi State a little bit here in a minute. We're going to talk about Mr. Jackson. He's kind of killing it lately, and we're going to talk about him. And I've got some other things that might surprise you. Actually, we're going to talk about the NFL draft for the Razorbacks at the moment, where they're at, and kind of maybe there's some names here on this list, on Kuiper's list, that might surprise you from Arkansas. So of course we're gonna go into that. Go RQ56. That's right. I don't know if he's in here or not. I'm gonna text him. Pops. Hey yo. I'm live. RQ56. Oh, that's funny. My phone. There it goes. You're being summoned. I'm just going to say it. No one's asking for him, but I am. You're being summoned. There you go. He's become infamous. He's been known to go on to War Machine's highlight videos and leave comments. Some other podcasts, some other shows. He's just he's that type of fan. He's always got something to say, and he wants everyone to know what's up. All right. Super Chat is up and rolling as well. Shout out to the sponsors, Direct Service Overhead, the Garage Door Company. I'm hearing you guys are inquiring about DSO, about Direct Service Overhead. I'm getting some feedback on that, and that is awesome. Remember, whether it's repairs or if you just want a new door installed, hey, look, these guys are the best, okay? Same-day services, quality parts, free estimates, hundreds of 5-star reviews, including your boy here. Better than best results. Give them a call at 501-244-3667. And, of course, you're in town. Some of you guys are here. I told you, this is a great place. If you're in Springdale, go check out the Odd Soul Craft Bar Pizzaria and tell them Ty sent you. Great pies. Good stuff on tap. You name it locally, they probably have it on tap, and a great staff, man. They got your back. Shout out to the Odd Soul Craft Bar and Pizzeria. All right, yeah, let's get the likes up, huh? We need to do a poll. We haven't done one in the last few shows. Do the Hogs cover? Now, obviously, they are picked to win. So I'm or I'll just ask, Hogs win tomorrow. That's simple. There we go. So there's your poll. All right? Okay. Yeah, I keep Mississippi State win tomorrow, says Dark Man. Okay. All right. That's there you go. Well, we know what your answer would be on the poll. Let's get things started here. If they win, they cover. Well, no, I mean, Arkansas's picked to win here. So let's check here. Arkansas, by the way, the Football Power Index or the matchup predictor has Arkansas at 67% likely to win. And yeah, Arkansas's favored. The line right now is 6. So if they win, you win by 7. You obviously that's in Arkansas's favor. They say the game time weather is going to be 55 degrees. Is that right? That's probably right. Let's check here. What does Apple Weather say? Tomorrow they say it's going to be about 70 degrees. Am I looking at the right time here? 11 a.m., October 21st. Wow, I guess we'll find out. That's quite the difference. They're saying game time weather on ESPN, brought to you by AccuWeather. It's 55 degrees at kickoff. There's no way it's 55 tomorrow at kickoff. At 11 o'clock, no way. It's going to be at least mid to high 60s. According to Apple, it's like we're right back into the 80s next week. Because, of course, we are. That sucks. Let's talk about Landon Jackson here really quick. One of the things I've been critical of in the era of the portal for Arkansas, and for everybody, but especially for Arkansas, obviously, because we talked the Razorbacks, has been, what are they doing in the portal as far as getting guys that can be NFL draft prospects? They're still lacking there. Okay, Drew Sanders did really good, and we'll see. We still got the whole rest of this season. You still got some games left. Maybe someone else could creep up on that board, another transfer. I don't know who that would be. Maybe Joshua Braun. I was surprised to see Dwight McLaughlin did not make his list. I need to pull this up here. Mel Kiper does not have Dwight McLaughlin even in his top 10. Now, to be fair, he's been a little dinged up. So let's start with Jackson. Let's start with the good. Landon Jackson has passed JT. I cannot pronounce that kid at Ohio State's last name. I don't want to butcher it, but it's like Tuimalau, I think. I can't pronounce that kid's last name. JT with a complicated last name that begins with a T. He passed him, and he passed Jared Verse at Florida State. Landon Jackson is now the number 1 defensive end on Kiper's board. Now, remember, there was a time last year where Kiper had Drew Sanders. I think he had him as high as like a top 14 pick. Now, that was at the beginning of the year, or that was like the first few games. And then about halfway through the year and a little bit further, I seem to remember, and please correct me if I'm wrong, he dropped completely off of Kiper's list. Whereas Jackson's doing the opposite. Jackson catapulted to number 1. I'm going to tell you, I do think some of that is because Alabama's got some hardcore issues up front on the line of scrimmage. So I think to a degree that was probably, he got a little bit of help. Okay, he was up against the young'un at left tackle, but it didn't seem to matter. I mean, he made plays out in the flats. If a guy did manage to get by him, you'd watch him turn around and wrap up and make the play. He's got Landon Jackson all the way up at 16th. 6'7", 281 pounds, previously not ranked after a dominant 3.5 sack performance against Alabama in Week 7. It's time to move Jackson into my big board. He has been incredibly impressive this season. I think that might be a little bit overblown. He had a really good game against Alabama. I think what's happening here is he's just where I thought he would end up. You guys remember I said this at the beginning of the year. Go back and find the footage. I said Landon Jackson's ceiling is a potential top first-round draft pick. I may have even said he's a top 10 pick. I don't recall. It might have been something like that. Go find it. I know it's out there. I've said it more than once. I think what Kiper's doing is playing catch-up. I don't know that Landon Jackson's been incredibly impressive all season. I would say lately, and of course Alabama just kind of caught him up a little bit. A transfer from LSU, Jackson has leveled up after having 3 sacks and 23 total tackles a year ago. He's now up to 5.5 sacks 10.5 tackles for loss in 2023. What really impressed me in the Alabama game was the way he varied his pass rush moves and kept his eye discipline against the run, which is true. I think we all talked about that. Maybe that was a Discord chat. I don't remember, but he did really well against the run. He was really balanced. I really like his active hands. This is coming from Kiper. Jackson has transformed his body since high school, putting on nearly 40 pounds in a year in which I'm still waiting for more production and dominating performances from several edge rushers. Jackson's rise has been a pleasant surprise. It's not surprising. It's surprising given that he hasn't come through yet. This was something I said just 2 weeks ago. Where's he been? I really thought by now he would start to stand out. PFF, Pro Football Focus, hasn't been overly generous. They haven't really been overly generous to anybody at Arkansas, but they were with KJ. Remember going into like week 4, they still had KJ as like one of the top quarterbacks in the SEC. That was strange. But you guys know I take PFF. I really like to use for other analytics like snaps and what positions. They're really good about breaking down some of the quarterback passing depth stuff. I really love some of that information, but sometimes their scoring is just a head scratcher. But they haven't been super kind to Landon Jackson. We'll see if that changes moving forward. Now that he's got a little bit of hype. Remember, it's not supposed to be hype based. It's supposed to be analytical and what they're seeing. What I've seen so far this year has been, I would say it's the opposite for me versus Kiper. Now, Kiper's the professional. Kiper gets paid, I don't know what his salary is. I'm sure it's in the millions. I mean, he analyzes all these players. I think him saying he's been incredibly impressive this season, that's a hell of a compliment. I personally haven't seen him be incredibly impressive. I've been more surprised that he hasn't stood out yet. And finally, against a very lacklusting Alabama offensive line, we saw him have a great game. To be fair, I solely watch the Razorbacks. I don't watch other teams as in-depth as I do the Razorbacks. I've watched every game. I've rewatched almost all the games. It's painful. I'm not going to lie. I haven't finished all of those, but I keep a pretty good eye on some of these guys, especially Landon. But he has finally, I think, too, it also kind of depends on the offense in which he's playing against, and it just kind of, it was not a good mix with Alabama and the way they do things up front versus Landon Jackson. He absolutely exposed the issues that Alabama has and that matchup between him and the defense, really the Arkansas defense and Alabama. We talked about what they did in the second half. It was great. The second half was great, and Landon Jackson played a key part. He's actually ranked ahead right now, just on his list, and obviously this is just simply based on where he thinks, like, where in draft order they may go. He doesn't really put a team out there, but he's got him ahead of Kool-Aid at Alabama, which Kool-Aid dropping has been a big surprise. He's not had the kind of year I thought he would have. I thought Kool-Aid would be top 3, top 5 player taken off the board, which could still happen. But right now, Kiper's got him all the way down at 17th. I think he'll rise up. And he's also got J.C. Latham. He's got J.C. Latham up there, offensive tackle for Alabama. So I'm trying to scroll down here. Yeah, Jared Verse is at 19th. That's the other defensive end that he passed up. Yeah, and J.C. Latham is a guy he projects at right tackle, by the way, at Alabama. Troy Franklin at Oregon, wide receiver. Michael Penix at 21, quarterback at Washington. Okay, so who else has taken Kiper has looked at Arkansas? But where's he at? Bo Limmer. Bo Limmer's at 7th. As far as centers are concerned, had you told me that before the season started, I probably would be not concerned, but like, okay, well, I thought he'd be a little higher than that. I thought he would be top 5, top 4, top 3. He had some preseason hype behind him a little bit, but obviously nothing's worked out. The only thing that's worked out for this offense is either KJ, doing what he does best when they allow him to do that, or just him kind of making it up as he goes when he's out of the pocket, or the tight ends. Like, that's been the two positives from the offense this year. The offensive line has not been one. Bo Limmer is all the way down at 7th. Could he rise? He could rise or fall. God only knows. No other players on the offensive line, and that shouldn't shock anybody. I want to double-check that just in case. Yeah. Scrolling down. Yeah, I didn't think anyone would make the guard list. So, yeah, not shocking there. But Bo Limmer moving down to 7th, not shocking. Cam freaking Little has moved up to 4th. He's 4th on his kickers and punters list behind Joshua Carty and Will Reichard at Alabama. Torrey Taylor from Iowa. It's really dangerously close to Corey Taylor, who's the lead singer for Slipknot, who is also from Iowa. Ryan Reckow, BYU's punter. I mean, I'm not going to go down the whole list, but they have him at 4th. Cam Little's 4 for 4 at 50-plus yards with a career high of a 55-yarder. And this is a guy who's been kicking 65 yards in practice. Pittman's talked about that. If he kicks a couple more 50-plus yarders, if he could stay perfect, I think he'll be number 1 on that list, which would obviously put him 7th round. I mean, it would just get him drafted if he wanted to go. No Fletcher. Here's what I wanted to talk about. Coming into the year, KJ Jefferson and Rocket Sanders were both guys we were talking about at least getting drafted. Neither one of them are anywhere on this list. Now, I know that doesn't surprise anybody. Running backs right now, I mean, there's not even a single back on here from the SEC West. You've got Ray Davis at Kentucky. That's the only SEC back on that list. Running backs have been – I mean, of course, you've got guys that aren't draft eligible as well. I mean, sure. But I thought there'd be a couple more upperclassmen that might make this list. It's only top 10. I don't know how many backs were taken in the last couple of drafts. They had 2 backs taken in the first round last year. Ray Davis is a good back for Kentucky. No doubt about it. Ray Davis is a good back. But Rocket and KJ just feels like such a waste. And that, again, not surprising to anybody. I get that. No one here is surprised. We'll see if this changes. There's still the belief out there that Rocket is done. He was supposed to be at the old 6th Street Supercenter, Mall Avenue, right? Mall Avenue, Walmart, alongside Darren McFadden. He didn't show up. Now, I don't know. U of A, I don't know if the U of A came out and said. I'd heard that I think he was off rehabbing in Texas or something's what I believe is what they said. Now, he was not. I didn't see him at practice on Tuesday. Of course, the media, they only give Monday and Tuesday, and then you get, 3 or 4 periods, whatever, to watch. Didn't see him there. And he's not even on this list. Again, not surprising. Some people probably thought that, well, he'll make the top 10 simply because of the hype that he had coming into the year and what he did a year ago. He's not. I think it's all but guaranteed Rocket and KJ are going to have to play another year. Nobody thought that, by the way. Nobody thought that, including me, most of you guys in chat. No one thought that both these guys, we would be entertaining the idea of them coming back to college football, not necessarily Arkansas per se, but to college football for the 2024 season, and yet here we are. Now, Rocket's situation is injuries, plus the offensive line is garbage. KJ, I don't know, wide receivers, you got Broden dropping passes. Receivers are struggling to get some separation. That's not all the time, and it's not all the receivers, but still, it's been a misuse of personnel. I think why the hell Centennia and A.J. Green haven't been given more opportunities. I think that would only benefit KJ Jefferson. It's been like everything, the offensive line and then KJ himself. I mean, even with a clean pocket, we've gone over these numbers, and we do every Monday. We go over all the numbers, the pocket numbers. Even with a clean pocket, according to PFF, he's like a 55% quarterback. Now, that's not always his fault. I'm pretty sure several of his clean pocket throws have been drops, or they've been overthrows, or they've been underthrows, or, I mean, how many balls has he had knocked to the line of scrimmage this year? 3 or 4? Have you noticed that? I started thinking about that the other day. It feels like he's had several balls get deflected at the line of scrimmage. And it feels like those are often with the clean pocket. He's also not been super great out of play action when they utilize it. These things certainly contribute to why they're not there, and obviously Rocket not being healthy is why he's not on that list. They're going to have to come back. Now, the question is where. A lot of talk about KJ going to Mississippi, one of the Mississippi schools. Obviously, Ole Miss would feel like the natural fit, and then who knows with Rocket. Maybe he goes, back to Florida. Maybe he goes to Texas. He is that caliber of back who could probably choose to go anywhere or come back to Arkansas. Hopefully they have things fixed up front of the offensive line, and the offense is off in a better direction. But this just looks – I'm going to tell you, the optics of all of this right now, and we can't overreact to a midseason Mel Kiper list. Okay, there's all kinds of preseason lists that are more accurate than Kiper, by the way. I haven't looked at all of them, but I haven't seen any where Rocket or KJ are on the short list. I haven't seen any that show any other transfers currently on this roster outside of Jackson that like any of these guys as high picks anywhere in the top 3, top 4 rounds, or just not draftable at all. The optics are that if you're a transfer right now, I don't know that Arkansas is a place you want to go to. I don't know, because if clearly these guys, especially when you have guys like Drew Sanders, and I think Jackson's probably among them, Dwight McLaughlin, maybe even Latavius Brinney, Stewart, the TCU transfer, they want the opportunity to go pro. Let's be real. When you're a caliber of player that's in the 2 deep in college football, in Power 5 college football, I'm going to tell you right now, this is from talking to other media members, this is talking to former players. In your mind, I'm NFL caliber. Okay, I've talked to former players who have told me this. That's something to think about. You go to Arkansas and you're a transfer. Drew Sanders was projected as a first-round draft pick just a few games into the season. Hell, Mel Kiper said going into the year that I'm pretty sure it was after week 1 he had Sanders, or week 2. It was early in the year that he really liked Drew Sanders, and then Sanders dropped completely off his list, or out of the first round anyways, is what I meant. And then when did he get drafted? 3rd round. Transfers are not coming here and having a lot of success in terms of getting to the pros. They're not having a lot of success here. I don't know compared to other schools. I know that in the ranks, Arkansas does really well. They had the 11th ranked transfer portal list, or transfer portal rank, according to 247. Right now, the results are, you might get drafted, maybe, if you're lucky. Landon Jackson, what year is this for him here? It's year 2. And last year, he needed a build-up year, and now look at him. And there's a good chance here he gets taken. I've said all along his ceiling is first round. And right now, Kiper, it looks like, agrees for the moment. And Dwight McLaughlin also has been injured. We got to be fair about that as well. Some of these guys, it's not on the staff. Injuries happen. And I'm not putting it all on the staff. I'm just merely talking about the optics. Something's got to change, man. Where is the list of linemen 4 years in with Pittman of guys that are getting drafted off the line of scrimmage? Where's it at? It's nowhere to be found. Not very many guys. Like, no one's projected outside of who we just mentioned. Outside of Bo Limmer. So the production in terms of talent right now, if you had to grade him out, I don't know that it would be real high. It's great that they've gotten guys drafted. It's great that, Treylon Burks was the first-round pick. That's worth noting, right? Drew Sanders was at least – listen, when you're a top 3-round draft pick, that is a big deal. And it's not easy getting those guys there. But I think, again, this is the stuff that can be used against you. Negative recruiting, I don't know if it's actually a written rule or if it's like an unwritten rule. You're not supposed to do it. And we know it happens, okay? It happens. It is what it is. And right now, guys like Lane Kiffin, Okay, who you would typically compete with in terms of talent. Lane Kiffin, name any coach that's not Alabama or Georgia, guys that you're going to compete with talent. You got Kelly down at LSU. You compete with him for every once in a while for Texas recruits. And they're going to say, what are they doing right now? How many of their guys out of the portal have been drafted? How many of them have been drafted in the first 3 rounds? How many of their offensive linemen? You talk about Brad Davis, former offensive line coach at Arkansas for a year. He goes down to LSU. Obviously, you're working with a different talent pool there, but what's going on? And now you have this culmination of the season where things are pure shit up front on the line of scrimmage. Talent is an issue. And I would say this is surprising, and I think you can look at the NFL draft. You can look at who you're spitting out into the NFL, and you can look at that and go, oh, that's a measuring stick. It absolutely is, man. It's a reflection of what you're able to do. And Sam Pittman, who has that reputation as being an offensive lineman guru, you're not seeing it on and off the field this year, and it's really too bad. Now, they could turn it around. They don't have any more defensive lines like A&M to deal with, like Alabama to deal with. Ole Miss is surprisingly good up front on the line of scrimmage. They're not good anywhere else, but their front 6, front 7, pretty solid. Not elite, but they're pretty good, man. They've slowed some people down up front. You don't have any more of that. You still have Florida, who I think is still pretty good on defense. You have Missouri, who's kind of a mixed bag on defense. Their improvements definitely with their quarterback this year. There's some room here where now you can breathe, and maybe the offensive line can turn some heads finally and settle in and play a little bit better brand of football. But so far, the reflection's not there with the NFL draft. It's not there. These lists matter because I'm going to tell you, you could pull up most lists. I don't know that you're going to see very many Razorbacks make the cut, especially some of the transfers. All right, let me go back to chat here. Super chat is up and running. Let me reach out. We've got 88% right now that believe Arkansas is going to get the win tomorrow. Jeff Coat is a stud on defense. Jeff Coat, I do think, will end up on that list. I wasn't shocked that he didn't make the list, but I do think he ends up getting drafted. I do. I like Jeff Coat. I think the odds are in his favor. What's up, Tide? It's G Holmes. What's up, man? AKA Big Sexy. What's up, man? How you doing, Greg? Woo Pig Pod. Welcome, man. Woo Pig Pod people are always welcome in here. Thank you so much for stopping by. They'll win. Wait a minute. I do think Arkansas should get a new offensive coordinator next year, says Leslie Byram. I like what Nick said about KJ Jefferson. Yeah, Nat on a cow's ass. Yeah, I saw that. Who the hell's Mel Kiper, Dan? Burks was a Morris recruit. Listen, you still have to give credit. Who did he play under the most? You give Pittman credit for that. You have to give credit to the development of him under whoever you played for last. Don't get me wrong. I mean, yeah, Morris certainly played a big role. What about Hazelwood? Good Lord. I can't read your comment because this big fat heart emoji's on my screen. He did anything at the pro level. Well, I mean, to be fair, did he sign? Did anybody sign Hazelwood? I don't know. So just to wrap that up, Landon Jackson, 16th overall right now on Kiper's list. Let's hope he stays there. This would be the first time since 2006 that Arkansas has had a defensive end drafted in the first round. First time. First time. How many picks do you think they have this year? I think they legitimately will have. I think they end up with 3, maybe 4. 3, maybe 4. All right. I feel like that was Scrolling. Arkansas, UT Tyler tonight inside Bud Walton Arena. I know that's – I really thought about slapping that on the thumbnail and making that the title. I know there would have been a lot more people. No one wants to talk about football. No one wants to talk about Landon Jackson, but I think it was worth mentioning and talking about here. It is an exhibition. It's not a team that's worth a shit. I'm going to be real with you. UT Tyler was absolute cheeks last year. They were garbage last year. They ended up, I had their schedule. Where is it? It was like 9, and they were horrible. Oh, my. Don't tell me I closed it out. Here we go. They finished 9-17. They ended on an 8-game losing streak. They were 2-11 on the road. It's just like, I get it. It's a big deal tonight. People are in town for the football game, and they're expecting a sellout crowd tonight. I mean, dude, conference play, they were 5-17. Again, 2-11 away and 7-6 at home. If this were Purdue, we'd be all about it, in which we are going to be. So we have an announcement next weekend. I will be in studio again with Don't Read the Comments podcast with, I believe, both Tim and Travis are going to be there. They're going to be available. I'm really looking forward to doing that. We're going to do another stream companion. So basically, we're all going to watch the game together live. Now, we can't show it on screen because we get hit with a copyright strike. I would love to show it. You can't. You're not supposed to do it, and I don't want to risk my channel. Don't want to risk that. Don't want to risk a strike. But yeah. So we will. We're going to be there, and then Friday we're going to talk about that game. We're going to try and break Purdue down a little bit. We're going to treat it like it's a game next week. I'm really excited for that. I don't know the starting lineup, Leslie. I'm sorry. John says Hazelwood's on the Eagles practice squad. There you go. There you have it. He's on the practice squad. I mean, good for him. I hope he makes it. I think we expected a little more. I really thought he was going to go to the combine and tear it up, but he really didn't. 89% of you like Arkansas to beat Mississippi State. 11% of you are at no. I'm wondering how many of those are Mississippi State fans. Mississippi State obviously in a rough situation, you know. It's not their fault. They lost their coach. So, yeah. So, tonight, here in just a little bit, sellout crowd in Bud Walton Arena. Arkansas takes on UT Tyler. They got a cool name in there, at least. That's about it. Yeah, I don't know the starting five yet. Now, there was a picture. I don't know if you guys caught this, but Eric Musselman posted a picture, a screenshot, and it had his, I'm going to see if I can pull it up here. It had his, what do you call it? His like the dry erase board, you know, but it's got the Razorback logo on it and everything. It's not, I don't think it's a starting five. I think it's just him clowning. I don't think it's anything. But the jerseys tonight are going to say energy, effort, enthusiasm. That's what and then it shows a picture of Fruit Loop socks. That must be his attire tonight. That's his attire. My bad, not the jersey look. I wonder if they post the jersey look, though. I was going to see if I could pull that up, but I'm not seeing it. I don't know. We'll have to. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see who they roll out there. Like I said on earlier in the week, I don't think it's going to be a reflection at all of what he's really going to do by the time the SEC play comes around. Like, he's going to rotate those five, but just a heads up, these guys do have a 7-footer. I had him. They do have a 7-footer. I don't know if he's going to get any quality minutes or not. If he's just I mean, I don't know, a JIC kind of player or what? 7 foot 220. Kaneo Frederick. He wears number 20, and he is a 7-footer. And they've got a couple 6'9" guys on their roster as well. So, yeah. All right. Let's get into Arkansas and Mississippi State. Where's the picture of the Razorback Stadium? Dad, I told you there's no room for it back there. You see how little room I have to work with? I'll tell you what, Dad, I'll auction it off. How about that, Ark? Fayetteville at Springdale tonight, bro. Oh, God, Fayetteville by 50. Fayetteville's going to beat the dog snot out of Springdale, and it's so glorious. Go Purple Dogs, baby. I wonder if the guy from Sports Live reactions. I don't know, but we're gonna do a side by side. I don't know what the hell you want to call it. If I guess they call it what did we stream? I don't know. We're going to be there reacting to it live. We just can't show it. Ty's in trouble. Here's the ice cream truck. I don't know if you guys can hear that. And there's the ice cream truck blaring his damn music. Nobody's going to get ice cream, man. It's not 105 degrees outside. It is so loud. Can y'all hear that? Can you hear it? Did you hear it? I mean, it's, he was right in front of my house. Let's talk about Arkansas and Mississippi State. Let's do it. This is the battle for who's the less shitty, Arkansas or Mississippi State. Mississippi State's tackles for loss this year. Okay, this is not a team that gets after you up front. They're not winning a lot of battles. There's nothing here that they rank about 66th in the country. They're getting roughly about 6 TFLs a game. They're not now they are shifty. And against Arkansas's offensive line, they may double that TFL number. We know how this works. You could be the worst. You could be one of the worst defensive lines, no matter what the analytic, no matter what the stats are. You could be one of the worst at getting after a quarterback or getting TFLs. And you could probably expect to almost double your numbers against Arkansas with how piss poor their offensive line play has been this year. But they rank about 66th in that category. They're in like a 10-way tie. They are deep. They're under 3 sacks a game, which, again, probably concerns you a little bit if you're Arkansas. But they're not racking up a lot. It's actually about 2.67 according to NCAA. They give up roughly 2 sacks a game, so they're giving up 2 sacks a game. Their run defense is actually, it's really similar to Arkansas. They're 56th in the country, giving up about 131 yards a game. Does Arkansas break 130 yards against these guys? Do they break 130 yards against anybody this year? That's kind of the new standard. If you're averaging about 130 to 140 yards rushing, you're right in the middle of all of college football. And so Arkansas is in the middle there. They are 59th in rushing yards. I'm sorry, that's allowed. My bad. Rushing yards allowed. So you're kind of right there in the middle. You're not too bad. You're not too terrible. We don't expect Arkansas to do that. Or do we? Do they finally? Do they give? They're going to split carries with A.J. Green. Do they break 130 yards? Mississippi State gives up a lot of yards in the air. They give up about 263, which is 112th of the country. This is slightly ahead of where Arkansas was at this time last year. Arkansas is the best 2-5 team in college football, and we will make the toilet bowl this season, says Mr. Bloodline. What's up, Bloodline? How you doing, man? Aaron Harbison says, Called Pinion being a start. Laugh out loud. Obviously, this doesn't really count, but he's there. He's there. It's an exhibition game. Calm down, Aaron. He might be. Maybe he works his way onto the floor. I like I said, that To me, it's him looking. He's on the outside looking in as a guy who I think would start. He's probably on the cusp of being a guy that's. I mean, if he blows up tonight and against Purdue and he has a moment against Alcorn State, like, who knows? But the good news is you've got these exhibition games. You know, you get a pretty easy start to the season to a degree, and then you got Duke, and they've got some other games that are going to be kind of tough. He's going to have some moments. I think we're going to find out a lot about the starting five. Kate Dreyer says not really all good. Okay. Passing yards allowed. Yeah, we already talked about that. They're bad. They're not very good at defending the pass. This could be a game where Arkansas stands out on offense a little bit. Maybe they finally have that moment on offense that we've been waiting on. I don't know. I am taking Arkansas, and I'm going to take Arkansas to cover. I'm going to take Arkansas. What did I have them by 10? I think I've got Arkansas winning. Yeah, so I'm going to say they win by 10. I think it's going to be something like a 30-20 kind of game or 32-20, something like that. Mississippi State will get – maybe they'll find a way. It's hard for me to see that offense. We've still got the question of what's happening with their quarterback. Will Rogers' status, we don't know. His status is kind of up in the air. He was injured on October 7th in their win against Western Michigan. Arnett said Rogers is on a day-to-day evaluation along with their other injured players with backup Mike Wright, who, if I remember correctly, is the Vanderbilt transfer and can actually run the football. I mean, he is a dual-threat guy. A part of me, I don't know, Rogers is throwing 61%, 1,200 yards on the year. He's not lighting it up. It's not air raid. It's like a multiple offense. Where their defense is different, it's still the same, but it's somewhat different. They're a little bit more active on the defensive line. There's a lot of pre-snap movement on defense, or at least there has been from what I've seen. They could change it up entirely. Who knows? Both these teams are desperate. God only knows what they really do tomorrow. But Rogers hasn't been tearing it up. A part of me is actually more concerned about Mike Wright than I am Rogers. He's also only thrown the ball 11 times, but he's like 9 of 11 on the year, or I had it here. He's 8 of 11 for 61 yards and a passing touchdown. As a team, they've only thrown 4 picks, throwing the ball 182 times. Again, Rogers 61% off 171 attempts, 10 touchdowns, 4 picks. He's not lighting the world on fire. I told people last year, like, this guy, he fits well in the air raid because that's what the air raid does. It makes average quarterbacks look great. He's a very vanilla quarterback. I kind of hope they do see Will Rogers tomorrow. I think I'm more concerned about Mike Wright. Mike Wright is their second leading rusher behind Marks, who's averaging almost 6 yards a carry. Marks at 458 yards, 4 touchdowns. Mike Wright has 3 rushing touchdowns along with that passing touchdown. So 4 touchdowns, no turnovers, I believe. Yeah, he's their second leading rusher. Their leading receivers, Griffin. He's got 3 receiving touchdowns, 474 yards off 29 catches. And they've got a couple of guys that aren't too bad. They're not too shabby at getting after the quarterback. Jet Johnson, Nathaniel Watson. I think those two have been dealing with some injuries last I had heard, but I don't know. Nathaniel Watson's having a really good year. This guy has 2 pass breakups, nearly 6 sacks, an interception, 4 fumble recovery and 2 fumbles, or fumble forced and 2 fumbles recovered. It's hard to say all that. As a team, they have 7 forced fumbles with 3 recovered and 5 interceptions. So they are pretty active as far as creating turnovers. So, yeah, I mean, Jet Johnson and Nathaniel Watson are their 2, like, their go-to pass rushers, along with Nathan Pickering, their interior defensive lineman, who's got a couple of sacks on the year. Yeah, they're not horrible. They're not bad. Their TFL numbers aren't great, but they can get after a quarterback. They could be pretty sporadic with their blitzing, multiple looks, really on both sides of the ball. They'll use a tight end. You'll see them come out in a tight end set, which is not what obviously not what they did under the Pirate with that air raid. This could be a ball game, but I think Arkansas finds a way, and maybe just to cover or whatever. I think Sam's going to try and win this thing. Try to at least win by 7 or 10. I think he wants to avoid this being close, because if it's a close game, and we know this now, it doesn't matter. Teams can walk into Fayetteville. Teams that we would typically consider lesser than can come into Fayetteville and beat you. Okay, it's happened. It's happened under Sam Pittman. So I'm just saying, if it's close, Mississippi State I do think is not as good as Arkansas, but if it's close, they could win the game. And if they do, we're going to be this is going to be an entirely different kind of post-game show tomorrow if they find a way to lose this game. This is a must-win, capital M, capital W, all caps, to hell with it, all caps. You cannot lose this game. You won't win another game this year if you lose this. Maybe FIU. Missouri. Are you going to beat Missouri in Florida, or Missouri in Fayetteville? Now, I know you got Florida next. We got a bye week after Mississippi State. Thank God. Are they going to beat Florida in Gainesville? Are they going to beat FIU, Auburn? Both those are in Fayetteville. Are they going to beat FIU or Mizzou? I don't know, man. I really was hoping that the end of the season, the final 5 games, were like, yeah, no, we got this. Arkansas is going to be fine. I don't know. Some people are trying to convince me they're about to win 5 straight. Some are telling me 4 out of 5. You guys, you know me by now, a lot of you. Only the true Tusk Talk fans actually watch start to finish what I say, and you remember what I say. I'm the kind of guy that you have to show me for me to actually believe it. I got to see it to believe it. I'm just an analytical kind of guy. I can see numbers. They don't tell the whole story, but they tell you something. I can see the past performance. That's the other part of the equation that is Razorback football this year. And the performance tells me they're not winning 4 of the final 5. The performance and the numbers are telling me they may struggle just to win 2 of these final games. Mississippi State gives you an opportunity to kind of, I don't want to say it doesn't change the narrative, because Mississippi State's a bad football team. But it can at least, if you come out at 11 o'clock tomorrow and you beat the shit out of Mississippi State from start to finish, maybe that gives you a little bit of something to look forward to coming out of the bye week. Now, going to Florida, going to Gainesville, if you whoop some ass, they're going to wear, by the way, the Gators are going to wear this all black look for the Razorbacks. They're going to be hyped. I think Florida sports fans, not just the Gators, but in general, are some of the worst fans in football. They don't show up to their Major League Baseball games, their Major League Baseball teams when they're good. The same with their NFL teams when they're good, other than Tampa. They did really well with Tampa when Tom Brady was there because, of course. But, there were years when Miami, the Heat were kind of, they were above 500 pretty good, and they were struggling to sell tickets. That's just Florida. Florida sports fans are just not the most diehard. Gators, because they're in the SEC, their fans are probably a little bit more diehard than the rest in that state. But they don't have a whole lot to cheer for this year, but I think they're going to show up to this game. They've kind of been hyping it up a little bit. You win that game. I don't care if it's half capacity or full capacity. You win that game, you're changing the narrative. Now you're riding a 2-game win streak, and you have 2 SEC wins, and you just won in the swamp. That's different. Now all of a sudden everything looks different. So you got to take it a game at a time. But tomorrow, this is when it starts. If you want to get a turnaround, you want to convince fans there's a turnaround, go beat the living shit out of Mississippi State tomorrow. Now, I'm not saying everyone's going to buy in after that, because, again, the Bulldogs they're not good. They're bad. But still, it's going to, maybe you're going to juggle that in your head a little bit. Well, okay, we got the bye week. These teams are not as good as LSU, Ole Miss, or Alabama, or A&M. They're not as good as those teams, so maybe we have a shot here. And you could be right. Prove it. And you do that by whooping ass against Mississippi State. If they struggle, I don't know that anything changes. If they struggle, if they win by 3 or 4 or 5, obviously if they lose, I don't know what to say. If they lose tomorrow, guys, it's going to be ugly. That's all I got to say. All right, let's put an end to the poll here. We'll go ahead and end the poll. 87% of you say, yeah, we're going to win. Arkansas is going to win. Ty, do you have any idea why A.J. Green, 7 yards, averages 7 yards? Wait. Is it getting carries? Okay. There's all kinds of theories out there. There's favoritism by certain coaches. I don't know. But to hear Sam say, well, we're going to kind of split the carries, no. Even if AJ struggles a little bit tomorrow, which Mississippi State's probably going to sell out to try and get pressure because they know they can. You're going to see some run and pass blitzes. They're going to try and shut you down up front of the line of scrimmage because they're going to know they can get pressure on KJ. I mean, Fayetteville High could get pressure on this offense. He's one of the most hurried quarterbacks in college football. So that could hurt A.J. Green. That could hurt his numbers a little bit. They're going to run blitz. They're going to pass blitz. They're going to delay blitz. They're a little bit sporadic on how they blitz. Or they could be overly aggressive, or they may not be at all. Maybe they drop everybody back and they believe, well, we can get pressure with 3 or 4 guys. And we're just going to drop everyone back in coverage. Because that's kind of a weakness for them is their secondary. And KJ is capable of at least – I think he's capable of throwing for 250 tomorrow. I really do. I think he's capable of 250 or more. Their secondary is not good. Do I think he's going to do it tomorrow? I don't know. It just really depends on what offense shows up. And we're not talking about Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. They've been Dr. Jekyll all freaking year. They've been horrible. But if a version of Arkansas shows up that we saw against Alabama in the second half, they're going to be able to throw the football. They're going to be able to throw the football in Mississippi State if that team shows up. If that team shows up, they're going to win this thing by double digits. So I do like Arkansas at something like 9 or 10 points. And A.J. Green's got to be in the mix more. No, to hell with splitting carries. What has DeBinion done to show you that he deserves splitting carries? What has he shown you? What are we doing? No, A.J. Green has been the better back. He's not a complimentary back. I think he ought to be the primary back. Again, he could struggle tomorrow. But I still think he gives you the best chance of those group of guys that are back there. And I also wonder if we're going to get to see Augustive, the freshman running back. Mississippi State is in the same situation. We are average OC that doesn't match their quarterback. Really makes you wonder about the hires Arnett and Pittman made without considering it. Haas, I don't think you're wrong, man. We're about to find out exactly what we are. Now, maybe. Again, if this is a struggle tomorrow and you struggle beating these guys at home, I don't know. You really shouldn't. Mississippi State is not – neither one of these teams are good, but Mississippi State really is not good this year. But they're both bottom dwellers at the moment. But you're right. If you lose tomorrow, you're going to find out a lot more about yourselves. That's for sure. At least Mississippi State's argument can be, well, quarterback banged up, and we're on the road. We're already trash. That sort of thing. Hopefully we run tempo. Dan, you're right. I think we'll waffle stomp them if we don't give them time to sack KJ. I agree. Dude, please do the things that you've said you're going to do. Move the pocket. Play with more tempo. And please, I don't know these behind the line of scrimmage throws, which they're throwing behind the line so much this year. Yeah, it worked a little bit against Alabama. I get it, but my God, they started the game off with it. When they don't run, it's a behind the line of scrimmage throw. I would almost put money that that's what they're going to do tomorrow, the first play from line of scrimmage. It's either going to be a run or it's going to be a behind the line of scrimmage pass. And those haven't exactly been – now, it's not to say that it won't work tomorrow because, again, Mississippi State's defense is not good. It could, but I want to see the pocket moved. I want to see more RPO. I want to see KJ be KJ. That's all I want to see. I'd run Green until his average drops to the other guys. Those behind the line of scrimmage passes are just long stretch plays. There's these slow developing plays. Like, I'm telling you, man, it's been a daisy this year for sure. Or doozy. It's been a doozy, not a daisy. It's been a doozy. Sorry. What color uniforms are we wearing tomorrow? Wait. What color uniforms are we wearing tomorrow? Is a computer or the red? Oh. Is it pewter or Leslie, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know. I think Eno should have run a hybrid offense this season. Continue some of the Bryles RPO stuff and feather in his pro style. Well, just run with I know tempo's not going to solve all their issues, but I do think that's got to be something they implement more of, and they got to move the pocket more for sure. KJ's, it seems like he's better when he's out of the pocket. He doesn't, I've seen him make throws before where he's not even, his feet aren't settled. He's made throws on one foot. We've seen him make some incredible plays outside of the pocket. Soon as it collapses, I've noticed this year that he panics. Sometimes he just doesn't know what to do. It's a crapshoot. He's either going to make something happen or he's not. So a blind guy could see we need a few more bootlegs, says Steven 1383. Steven, you gonna hop back in our Discord or what, bruh? I promise. Just, we leave out the politics. That's all. We leave out the politics. All right? And there's the Discord link if you want it. Also, we're doing a really good job, you guys, at Patreon. We've got some new. We had some. Listen, I'll say this: Patreon supporters knew about the Landon Jackson getting that nod on Mel Kiper's list. I'm going to actually. All right, well there you go. Welcome back. Welcome back. But Patreon's been killing it. There's going to be. I'm going to line up some. I've got an interview that I'm going to get lined up hopefully either next week or the week after with a couple of people. So looking forward to that. We're going to talk more and more basketball. And, listen, I think basketball, I know last year the regular season was a bummer. And I'm not saying this year they're going to be perfect. But I am, so excited for March. This team it feels like a March team. They've got experience. They've got talent. You've got a guard in Devo who may be a two-way player this year again. Brazil's back. This team just feels like they can make a deep run. I don't know if they're going to be as matchup capable. There's not as much size as I was hoping. I was hoping they could grab maybe a couple more 6'10 guys. But I think they've got more scorers and maybe a couple of actual, more than just Devo being a two-way player. They need. I wonder how many facilitators, how many glue guys, how many quick scoring spurt ability players off the bench are they going to have this year? These next two games will tell us a lot. Okay, that scrimmage, that exhibition is about to start. It is not televised. I guess we're going to get ESPN or maybe someone in our Discord's going to try to stream the game from their phone. I think the live stat sheet might actually work. So I don't know. Maybe I may try and keep an eye on that tonight. But so yeah, we'll talk about that game tomorrow a little bit in our post game. But obviously Arkansas Mississippi State that'll be our headliner for tomorrow night. Don't forget, a week from. Let's see. Hang on. Let me before I start flapping my gums on that. What is this? So October 28th, I'm assuming between 2 and 2:30 p.m., we're going to start our stream of Purdue. Now, again, we're not going to show the game. It's going to be we're all just going to react to it together. We're going to have it up on a television, and we're going to have it synced up where we'll give you guys an opportunity to sync up with us. It'll be a lot of fun. We'll react to it together, and then we'll have our post-game show, assuming they provide us with all the stats. I'm sure they will. So, all right, tip-off is in 8 minutes with UT Tyler. Again,
Not televised. I don't even know if it's on. I don't think it's on the radio either. I don't know, but if it is, someone let us know in Discord. Shout out to Patreon supporters. Again, if you guys want to help this channel out, this small business out, hey, check out that link. Go look at it. There's exclusive content that you can only get there, and it also gives you way more access in our Discord. I'll tell you what we have going on right now that might pique your interest. We have a coach discussion. We've got some other PFF grades that are not accessible on anywhere else but in our Patreon. We've got, where is our, we got head coaching names that have been brought to my attention. We've got a whole list of their numbers and kind of their history. I mean, we've got, we're going to have, when the transfer portal starts rocking, Patreon supporters know I'm going to provide you guys with information there on players that Arkansas has targeted. And we just have the exclusive Patreon chat rooms that only Patreon supporters have access to. So, again, if you want to join and you want to get in on some of that action, check out the links provided for you down below. All right? Okay. You guys enjoy the game tonight. Enjoy the game tomorrow. I'll be here. The best post-game show around anywhere, period. Radio, YouTube, Spotify. It doesn't matter. This is where it's at, baby. Tomorrow night, post-game after Arkansas, Mississippi State. I'll see you guys tomorrow night.